Hello, friends. So, talking about the issue of unemployment, which is rising day in once we have started off with the COVID lockdown. Now, this unemployment has reached to 24%, and this gets more severe when we look into the labor participation rate of uh, near about 33%, which has decreased to this percentage from 38, 39% of the normal times. So that makes this unemployment rate more severe than the number 24%. So overall, we understand that a lot of people are, we have seen how migrants have returned to their home, and now in this backdrop, the economy is opening. And now there's a shortfall of labor in a way, so if so to say, in the urban areas where uh, the the economy is trying to revive with these stimulus packages and all, and the workers are out there back in home. So in this difficult situation, what has been created, we don't see any certainty, so to say, because if we look from the perspective of migrants, then they are not certain on how the lockdown will proceed, how much work they'll be allowed to do, at what percentage the industries will function, all of those things. So the bottom line is whether they'll be able to survive or not with right remuneration in the urban cities, whether it's worth it to stay there and be safe as well in those difficult places where they stay, where physical distancing is something luxury. So that is a big question in the minds of the migrant. And even now, they might not be clear on whether to return back to these urban centers for work because there's no certainty. On the other side, if we see from the perspective of the industrialists and all, they are also not certain on how the lockdown uh, and the COVID will play out in the coming months. And we have seen an example of Oppo, how the factory setup of Oppo, uh, which was opened some 10 days before on 8th May, is witnessed a few cases, near about nine positive cases of COVID, and thereafter it had to shut down. And there'll be legal proceedings and all against the firm. So, so that is so keeping that in mind, most of the companies will not think of will not have clarity on what to do. So from both the sides, if we see there's a lot of uncertainty from the capitalist side, the entrepreneurs and the leaders, business leaders and industrialists, they are not certain how to run the company, at what capacity to run, and how long the virus will be here, and how to maintain all those hygiene. And if something happens, then what kind of burden they'll will fall on them. So they are happy uh, not to take much, not to go much aggressive on manufacturing and work, although that is a very high requirement to maintain their employees. On the other side, the employees and the laborers are not clear on whether my work is there, whether it's I have that certainty to work, and whether I'll be remunerated in the right way as it was before. So this skewed environment what we have is very tense, and in this time, we see this high unemployment rate. We read every day globally as well. A lot of people, a lot of firms are firing a lot of people. Uh, Near about 10 to 20% of the employee force is being fired, removed, being on furlough. From in most of the industries, we have seen that happening. Be it Uber, the ride technology app based company, to Oyo, the hotel company, and many others. We have seen a lot of hits being taken by the employees. So in this context, uh, it is Important to recognize that difficulties are there and no one is certain on how to deal. Even if we look at the government, then the central union government is also not clear on how long to proceed with the complete lockdown. And if we are relaxing on so much pressure from the industry, even if we are relaxing, then how to relax it? Pan India, what shall be the blueprint? So they have also given it to the states that you take the details, you decide on how to manage it further. Broader guidelines, definitely the union is has proposed the broader guideline till 31st May, but in the next 2 weeks, 10 days or so, the states decide on the nitty-gritties of how to open the economy and get their revenues back on track. Even the states uh, are facing liquidity crunch. And in this entire environment, we have seen how the stimulus package came as a solution to this entire problem of unemployment and the fall in demand, the GDP shrinking, and all of these. To counter these, a stimulus package has been thrown, and that was claimed to be 20 trillion rupees, which is around 10% of the GDP. But when we see into the nitty-gritties of the package, then most of it is liquidity infusion into the economy and largely on the supply side. So that will help the suppliers to produce more, to take loans. So they also take at their risk of supplying more. Whether that gets sold is a different question. So that is the risk they have to absorb. But it's largely on the supply side. On the demand side, if we see, then there has been not such stimulus. If we see the actual fiscal stimulus, what has happened from this package is around 0.8 to 1.5% of the GDP, somewhere around 1.86 trillion rupees. So that's 10% of what has been claimed by the union government. So the package is small, but we need to respect whatever is happening because coming up with a opening the complete purse to the people may not be the right idea because that will affect our credit rating of Indian bonds, Indian government bonds, and that will make it the life of the government difficult in the future to borrow money and the Indian firms and all to borrow money from outside. So we might lose the category of from investment grade country to junk bonds, and that should not happen because that is a long-term cost which we'll be paying. So we need to respect the fiscal deficit targets and all. We need to respect that only a limited money can go out from the government because government has also limited money. The only important thing here is to deploy that limited money in the best way. And I have a feeling that the government has done the best in the limited period of time in terms of deploying the money and to boost a positive sentiment with the term of 2020 20 trillion rupees. So overall, we have done well within the fight against Corona. Next 2 weeks we have to see, and we look to do well in the fight of the economic activity, economic slump what we are facing, and we need to see how things will unfold. But from a perspective, it seems that we are winning both the wars, but we are not certain on how big is the enemy. So let's see how things will unfold in the coming days. Thank you.